Hi, welcome back to Black, White, and the Grace. I hope you enjoyed watching that video of our small garden. You're gonna hear me say it about 1,000 times. That's like my heart and soul right there. It is why I garden. That garden turned this market garden into definitely a passion, but I loved it so much, and that is just not big enough space to feed my family all year long. And this 14,000 square foot garden should be. Before we get more into this video, please like this video and also subscribe to our channel. It lets YouTube know that you like coming here and it helps us out a lot. So if you could do that, that would be awesome. All right, so this is behind me is during, this is after. So we started this whole market garden. We did the whole thing, compost, and lined out our beds. There were no weeds and haven't been for the 5 years we've been here. When you add compost and consistent watering, weeds come. But so it's been like kind of discouraging that we've had to start all over, but it's been such a major learning curve that I guess I'm learning a lot. So I felt like a big failure for a while. And when people come to our garden, I get two reactions. One is, holy crap, I cannot believe you did all this work. And two, what about all that? This looks great, but you're missing the majority of your garden. I know. But we're working on it, and it's year one. And I have to think to myself, hold on, I'm gonna set you down. I have to think to myself, last year's goal was for me to get 6 beds done. And we got 26 beds done. Now, I have to redo a lot of those beds, but the moral of the story is none of this should have been here. I didn't think we'd have the fence. I was optimistic the greenhouse would be done, and I had prepped 6 beds or 4 beds last fall. And then I was just gonna plant things that we have a ton of deer. I was just gonna plant things that deer didn't care for and hope for the best. And here we are. So I think of last year's Kylie, and I think of this year's Kylie. As cheesy as that sounds, I think last year's Kylie would be blown away, okay? She wouldn't be one of those people. I'm one of those people that are like, what about all that? I get that. But if I were to talk to myself a year ago, I think I would just be blown away, because this is nutso. There's a fence, there's a beautiful greenhouse, and there's a freaking fence. And that alone is a miracle, because it just is. Time after time, the Lord has provided with us for the fence. The majority of our fence is recycled tin from my parents' roof that they just gave to us. And the greenhouse too. So because of my parents getting their roof redone, that may have been a pain in the butt for them, but it was a miracle for me, and I was able to get my greenhouse and my market garden fence complete. So I'm dang proud of myself. And it has been, I'm like my biggest critic, but it has been incredibly daunting taking on this project. But time after time, I have felt the Lord push forward, and I do, and I fail. Never in my life have I failed so much at something so fast. And for me, that's difficult. And so it drives me to a place where I just dig into myself. And actually, I don't dig into myself. That's crap, because I can't do this on my own. I dig into the Lord, because I cannot do this on my own. I have a very extremely supportive husband that the Lord has graciously blessed me with, and he is my grunt laborer. He gets out here and he dumps load after load of compost and load after load of mulch, and helps. He puts gates up and stuff. So I get it. I am not on my own here. I have the Lord, and I have a wonderful husband and 3 beautiful miracle children. So, but it is tough sometimes. And right now we are digging in, and it's a scary time because I have yet to sell any of my produce. And tomorrow or the next day, we're gonna put the farm stand down at the end of the driveway and give it a whirl. And that is terrifying because you build it, you hope they come. But sometimes, right now, with the amount of failure that I have faced this year, it doesn't always seem reachable. But on a lighter note, I said last week I was going to show you where we were going to put our high tunnel, and I spaced it. But here, where you can see the straw, it's right on the other side of the driveway. We're going to have well, Lord willing, we applied for a grant and we're in the final stages of getting that approved for a 30 by 72 foot high tunnel, which the guy came out and it seems optimistic, so we'll hope. And he was like, you could put another one right there and have 2 for the next year. You can high tunnel this whole property. I don't know about the whole property, but 2 would be nice. All right, I'm gonna pan you around. I'm gonna show you the cut flower garden. So you can see the difference, obviously. There's our beautiful greenhouse. I'm trying to debate on painting it teal to match our chicken coop that was just back yonder. And my sister had the idea of putting cedar shakes up on it in the front. I think that would be cute. Or painting it white, which is kind of boring, but what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. So here's the I keep saying this. The cut flower garden. And it is like a nice lawn in the aisleways because that is how many weeds we had. I tell ya, there were none, but here we are. There are flowers in here, and some I know what is what, and some I have no idea. This is kind of last priority, but I did bite the bullet and buy the weed fabric to put in the aisleways, and then I did also end up weeding about a quarter of a bed last night just because I needed to. So hopefully we get some flowers out of here and we get to put those on the farm stand because nothing draws people's sights in like a good old beautiful flower arrangement. I'm checking. None of our beets have germinated for this is our second planting because we had to mow over the other ones because of the weeds. If you can't tell, we got probs. All right. So my mistake, and I will preach this till the day I die. Whether you think you have weeds or not, put the cardboard down and then put the compost. Every time. Take the time, people. Anyway, my beets haven't germinated. It's been like almost 2 weeks. So hopefully somebody pops up. And I've been consistently watering these suckers. So nobody better die. Hopefully they germinate by next garden tour. All right. Ooh, my potatoes. That's what I was going to share. Okay, so these guys are a weird shape and they're much taller than the rest of the bed because they're my last year's potatoes and they were getting crazy huge. And so I put them in the greenhouse and then they were growing tall. So I put dirt over them and then they were in like a tote, like a tote. And then I was like, oh, I'll just transplant them out. Well, I did. And I took them out of their tote and I was trying to get them apart. I couldn't. So I took them out of the tote, but they are planted in like a square shape of a tote. There's like 50 potatoes in there. Okay, that's going to be an experiment. But I was also concerned that my potatoes weren't coming up. I planted later because, I see another one. I wanted to, and another one, avoid frost because last year I was having to cover them a lot. And I just prayed over them. I was like, Lord, help these potatoes come up because nobody's been coming up. And now we got all sorts of sprouts. So that's good. I was getting slightly worried. And I was fertilizing them with some fish emulsion or fish bone. Last year I didn't fertilize them at all, but because I was paranoid, they got 2 fertilizations so far. And I think I'll keep doing it. It's just kind of an experiment. All right, greenhouse time. Oh, isn't she a beaut? She's cuter when the windows are down. All right, so see, would you do cedar shakes on where it just would be a small amount or paint it white or paint it teal. I don't know. And you can see the tin again. That's like our signature look. Well, I did compost all my beds, so that's a win. Oh, and I got this desk. My neighbor gave me this desk. Isn't it cute? She thought it would be just perfect in here, and I think it is. So, I got a tomato trellis. Well, tomato clips to trellis my tomatoes because some of them, they're falling over, people. And that one, it's huge. It's a miracle. Like, how is it still standing? I have no idea. It's a little bit of a disaster zone over here. In our small greenhouse, we have 48 tomatoes. The varieties, I probably have 20 varieties. I had to grow a little bit of everything because last year, well, a few years in a row, I've tried to grow my tomatoes outside here. They all die because frost comes in July or in August or whenever and kills them. And so last year, after my first round died, I got some. I started from seed and I put them on a wagon. So I drug them inside of my house every single night. And I got one tomato and it was this big. Just enough to make you mad. So got the greenhouse finished. And hopefully I have tomatoes coming on. So I'm pumped. Over there in that corner, you can see them. So I'm pumped up for this year. Hopefully I get loads of tomatoes. Hopefully I get so many I don't even know what to do with them. That's the plan. And then also next year when we have the high tunnel, because probably these are just going to feed my family with storing and canning and eating fresh. Hopefully we have enough for our family. But if not, the high tunnel comes, Lord willing, next year. And we'll have more than enough for myself and my family and all the town. Okay, not all the town. A lot of the town. Some of the town. And full disclosure, this is not a how-to channel. This is a watch me fail until I succeed channel. And maybe if you learn something from that, there you go. But I'm not going to be teaching how-to tips, but I will teach you things that I have learned and I'm trying out. So for instance, my onions, you can see I disturbed my soil a little bit. It's called spooning. And what you do is if you have a bulb like this, you get the dirt away from it and let it grow bigger. And then you keep doing that as it ages. Also, you can cut the tops off if they start to fall over. Like I have a few that are starting to fall over. Might just give them a snip. They also love sun. I did not know that last year. Now I know. They're in full sun. All right, so on this side, all these beds in the next few weeks, and definitely by August, we have a town community-wide coop and garden tour, and it'll be the only time our farm is open to the public this calendar year. So it's a big motivator to get crap done. Let me tell you, inviting all of you onto my farm and into my gardens is also a really big motivator. But okay, so next week we'll have, hopefully, if all my weed tarp comes, all these will be, the pathways will have weed tarp on them. And the peas will be trellised in 2 rows. Lord willing. Other than that, look at these rows. They're coming in. There is kale in here. Can you see it? Oh, there's a bunch. And then my carrots and my radishes and my salads. Oh, they're doing so good. So, all right, let's go look at the little garden. And let's go do that. So something really cool. There is a bunny in the garden. It's really cute. And it has the resemblance of Peter Rabbit, which means we have a bunny that we affectionately call Peter Rabbit. So, but it's a wild bunny. People drop their bunnies off here. And this bunny is not good. I gotta get it out. I guess now we know what's been eating the tops of my cabbages. Super. It's slid right under my gate. So I need to do some mending tonight. I thought it was a rooster because my son left the gate open and the rooster was in here, but I think it was the dang bunny. But the other day, last night, we were weeding out here in the cabbage bed when I noticed all the tops, almost all the tops of the cabbages are gone. We also found a bunch of volunteer potatoes this was our potato bed last year, and they're coming up like crazy, which is kind of cool because if our cabbages don't grow, which is not looking great. This has been a sucky year for cabbages. I've killed about 500, no exaggeration, between transplanting. We had some major water issues this year. I'm not going to go into that in this video, but between not getting watered consistently because I just couldn't keep up with it, transplant shock, neglect, and now bunnies or roosters. It's been a rough year for cabbages. Anyway, so here is a volunteer potato, which they will probably take, and they are all over this bed, which I find encouraging. This lettuce bed right here is out of control. I have never harvested so many lettuces so quickly, and it still explode. I just can't keep up with it. So I think we've ate a gazillion pounds already, but it just keeps coming, which is great. And I sowed it super thick, which isn't my normal thing, but the seeds were old. And for some seeds, if they're old, they don't germinate well, like onion seeds. They're best used the first year you get them. Lettuce seeds apparently hold their germination value. Did you see that eat sign right there? That was in my kitchen. I hated it. It felt gluttonous. Out in the garden, not so much. Here's my beautiful garden rocking chair. Get yourself a rocking chair. Any garden chair will do. I use that stump next to it. It's not my coffee table, but I used it for a while, and then I upgraded to my rocking chair. This is the best decision I've ever made. It's where I sit a lot of the times. All right, so this part of my garden, I pulled out radishes because they weren't forming a bulb. The same thing happened last year. I mended the soil. Same thing. Back towards the other side of the garden, they're just fine and dandy and can grow a bulb. So this year, I was like, I'm bound and determined to make this work. Nope. Did not work. The geese and the chickens got a great snack, so that's great. Look at my sunflowers are probably small and compared to a lot of people. My aunt lives in close to Portland, and she has sunflowers, and they're already like 4 feet tall. Different climate, but never have I ever been able to grow rhubarb that big. And this is a special variety of catmint. It grows huge, like 3 or 4 feet tall, with these big old purple flowers. Typically catmint can grow decently wide, but it's skinny sticks with smaller flowers. This is huge, and I can't wait to show that when it's up. I got a giant hollyhock, this and a lilac, all sorts of perennials in here. Oh, my lupin is blooming. Isn't that beautiful? I'd like to have a perennial cut flower garden. Lupin is a must. It's beautiful. And it grows here, so you can't beat that. I did not sow bachelor buttons. They are coming up all in here. I purposely did not plant any bachelor buttons because I knew they would. They're like a weed. Also, grow here. So, beggars can't be choosers. Oh, yes. I forgot about my raspberry. So, look at this guy. Look at that. There's all sorts of blossoms. I'm so pumped up. I want raspberries to take, to take over this whole wall. Just whole wall because we have neighbors right there. And it'd be nice for privacy in here. So, and my elderberries. We planted 20 or 25 elderberries in the market garden. But these are elderberries from last year. Ooh, can't see them. Still learning how to do the camera thing, people. We have 4 in here. They all survive the winter, which is great. And we do elderberry syrup for our farm. And that's a big seller. Huge seller. So to grow our own would be a huge money saver. Huge. So we're growing our own. And so we invested in those 25 plants. I think it's 20 plants. But it's going to take a few years for them to get mature. These ones, they're 2 years old now. So I don't know what's going to happen with them. We'll see. Well, I think that's about it for this tour. Let me turn you around so you can see something more beautiful. Oh, there you go. The garden lights just popped on and I had filmed this, but I'm going to film it again because it's gorgeous. And also when you started this video, you saw this already, but still. Guys, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. It is so fun for me to do these. And if it wasn't fun, I wouldn't be doing these weekly. I enjoy this so much, showing people that are like-minded and people who are not like-minded, I guess, anybody, showing them my garden and what you can do. And that reminds me, last week I had mentioned I'm doing the Ruth Stout method for growing potatoes. I did it last year and it was awesome. And I'm going to explain what it is real quick. Also me earlier in the video. This is not a how-to channel. Okay. A Ruth Stout method is, she was an elderly woman who started gardening in her late 60s, I believe. I could be wrong. It could be 60s or 70s. Anyway, she put straw down and threw her potatoes in. Legit threw them in. And they sprouted and she got great harvests. If I can figure it out, I will try and link her documentary. It's on YouTube. So I'll try and link it down below so you can just click on the description and go right to her video. It's an older video, but there's a wealth of knowledge in it and I enjoy it so much. And that's what inspired me to do my potato garden that way. So I know it worked last year, skeptical this year, just I always have gardener's doubt. It's like plant a seed, who knows if it's going to show up, you know what I'm saying? Or if that's what's keeping you from growing a garden, you're always going to feel that way. I don't know if that doubt ever goes away because I know of a lot of experienced gardeners that still have that doubt. So grow a garden. I know one of my best friends is growing 2 pots of lettuce, or a pot of lettuce and a pot of spinach, and it's giving her all the confidence. And she would have gone larger, but she has a bunch of littles, like super little kids and a baby. And she's growing her own food. Like, it doesn't get much better than that. Get a couple pots, get a nice garden chair, and just be. Whether you have a couple pots, whether you have a giant garden, whether you have 2 giant gardens, whether you're in your backyard in the middle of the hot humidness of Florida, like my good friend. She lives in Florida and she does YouTube also, and they're like 95% humid and 90 degrees. My legit nightmare. All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you made it to this part of the video, I appreciate you coming along, and we'll be back next week with another garden tour. And if you get anything from this, I just hope you get a smidgen of garden inspiration and start your own. Whether you do a giant garden or grow in a few pots. One of my best friends is growing in 2 pots, lettuce and some spinach off of her deck. And it doesn't matter where you grow and just be in it. Get yourself a chair and just be, because there's no better place to be than in a garden. Oh, cheese balls, but true. And don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next week. Oh, that reminds me, real quick. I just said this wasn't a how-to channel. It's not. But I remembered, as I was editing last week's video, I saw that I mentioned the Ruth Stout method, and I didn't explain anything about it. It is a gardening method that a Ruth Stout, a lady, invented in her old age. She was mid-60s, I believe, and she put straw down and legit threw potatoes in the straw, and they grew, and that's how she gardened for years and years. She didn't even start gardening until she was in her mid-60s, which I find so inspirational because, shoot. And she has a method named after her. That's nutso. She's so cool. I will try and find that documentary. I found a wealth of knowledge in it, and I'll try and link it if I can figure out how to do that. But anyway, it's just growing in straw, essentially, with no other amendments or anything, and it works. So I'm giving it a whirl. It worked last year for potatoes, but any hoozles. I will talk to you guys next week, and I hope you come along for it.